Welcome to the Reality Revolution. Today, I'm joined by Karen Kubicko, a psychic, intuitive, certified hypnotherapist, past life regressionist, Reiki Master, and author who has remembered over 200 of her own past lives. Karen's journey into past life regression began after a near-death experience during the birth of her second child in 2001, and she's since dedicated her life to helping others heal on a soul level through exploring their own past lives. She's trained with the legendary Dr. Brian Weiss, has appeared on LMN's The Ghost Inside My Child, and is the author of Life is Just Another Class, One's Soul Journey Through Past Life Regression and Making True Love, Healing Relationship Patterns Through Past Life Regression. What makes Karen's work so compelling, why I wanted to talk to her, is her belief that Earth is essentially a classroom, and by remembering our past lives, we can release fears, heal relationships, and understand our soul's deeper purpose. Karen, welcome to the Reality Revolution.
Thanks, Brian. I'm really excited about being on your show.
It's so
It's
nice
an
to have
honor.
you. Past life regression is fascinating for me. I can't imagine having the memories of 200 different past lives. A lot of times you start to realize as you access past life experiences, there's a reason we don't remember these past lives. It's kind of helpful for us to forget sometimes, isn't it?
100%. Because, like, if you remembered everything, then when you re-met people again in your current life, it would be so confusing, especially if you're a child, right?
Right,
So, yeah, it could be unsettling if that, like, your mother was your brother before or something like that.
right. So there's probably times when it's not helpful to remember past lives. Is that correct?
Um, Gosh, I don't know. I never had that question asked. That's a great question. I guess it could be if you remembered a trauma that was unresolved
Hmm.
and that caused you trauma again in this lifetime since you didn't know that thing occurred in a
Hmm.
past lifetime. Or if you remembered yourself being not so very nice, you know?
Right.
And so that would be sort of a trauma, especially if your personality now is so very different and kind, I guess I should
Yeah.
say.
Can you take us back to the near-death experience in
Sure.
2001?
Yeah, sure.
What did you experience and how did it change your understanding of reality?
Well, it was an interesting experience because during the birth of my second child, it wasn't working out really well. I mean, she
Hmm.
kind of broke through the wrong way, and both of us, I definitely feel like we both had a near-death experience in that moment. And I have clear memories of floating above, watching the whole production of what was going on in the operating room. They whisked me right in there because it was now an emergency situation. I was fully aware she came out blue. I was completely aware that there were other beings hanging out up in the top of the room. It's weird to say, but like it was almost like the room was crowded, even though there might have been like five or six people in their actual room, like in life. And then like there was no ceiling. It was kind of like just all energy. Um, but 3 months later, was I had just laid her down to sleep after nursing her, and I saw someone holding her in the bedroom, and it wasn't their dad, and it was just real loving and everything. And I was like, "Hello, did she wake up?" And no one looked up, no one answered. And it was really at that moment that I realized I started seeing more of the other side. And there's a whole long discussion about that, but I definitely, that sparked, all of that sparked me being more awake and aware of other things and around. And so um, I delved into psychic related things, trying to understand all of that, your chakras.
Hmm.
And I came across a book on children's past lives, and that was it for me. I was all in.
You mentioned it took 30 attempts until you could start accessing a past life. What do you think was blocking you? And tell me about that process.
So that's a great question, Brian, because when you are, first of all, if you're new to remembering a past life, you have to actually trust your own intuition to receive the information.
Hmm.
And a lot of guided meditations might include where you're actually seeing something versus feeling it or getting a knowing about something or hearing messages or even smelling like bread baking or something like that.
Hmm.
And so what I had to, first of all, learn how to do, and a lot of people who are new to meditating and that type of thing, you have to really learn how to quiet that inner mind, right? And allow
Hmm.
that information to come to trust whatever is coming to in any kind of way. So if you're expecting to see the whole panorama like you're looking around your room, it's not going to happen. I mean, because it's going to be like a real fuzzy something, or you might like hear music playing, or you might actually feel somebody holding your hand or something like that. Those are all things that you can receive as part of your of part of your past life and memory that's coming through. So the 30 tries, man, I was determined. Brian Weiss, when he talks about his own personal experiences, I
Hmm.
think it took him like 3 months of just meditating to get to his own personal past life. And so I was determined, and listening to it, I'd fall asleep. And I was like,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? And I tried again. But the final time, well, it wasn't the final time because I kept on doing it. But the first time that I remembered a past life, first of all, I'm a guy, and I'm like, okay. And I'm in the midst of dying, which I didn't realize at the time. I just remember coughing out loud, which was weird because in that past life memory, I had gone into the death scene. I didn't even know that actually at that moment. And I'm trying to blow on this pitiful fire. I knew I had a scruffy beard. I knew that sweat was dripping down my face, but I was having pneumonia and
Hmm.
not being able to breathe. And so it was very interesting, that whole experience. That was the first one. So,
Wow.
yeah,
So some people have argued, like Joseph Murphy and others have argued that we're all one being, and
we
that
are.
and that all the lives are our past lives. So how do you differentiate? How do you know when you're accessing information about a past life that it's just not a memory that's in the quantum field, and that it's
Right.
specific to you?
I've had this conversation many times with people that, like yourself, who are in the know in a sense, because
Hmm.
it's very confusing. And you want to hope that it's all your information that's coming through.
Hmm.
But honestly, Brian, when you're remembering or going into a past life regression experience, the point is to help you heal this current life. So
Okay.
if you go into a lifetime and you are accessing information that is a trauma of some kind, not saying that might not have been your own, but it might be something that's directly connected to your current life that will help you in some deeper understanding type of way. So, like, if, for example, you're having a relationship issue, which I talk about in one of my books, it is, let's say, for example, you might be a perfectionist or a type A type of person. Well, if you want to find out the root cause of that, because you're like tired all the time, you're exhausted, you're trying to take care of everybody, do everything for everybody else, and you go into a past life regression trying to figure out, well, why you like that, expecting to find some kind of type A personality, where in fact you find that you're like a burden of some kind in a past life, where that is the direct link to why
Hmm.
you're trying to prove yourself endlessly being a perfectionist or a type A personality in this current life. It doesn't make any sense, in this current life. Well, why would I feel like I'm a burden? But then when you think about it, you kind of, are trying to prove yourself in a sense. And that's why you go extra and be a type A. So you might go to a past life where that comes up. And it's very interesting when that does occur because you never know where you're going to go.
Yeah, I'd like to get your
I think you
impression.
froze on me.
All right, am I back now?
Yes, you
All
are.
right.
Thanks.
I'd like to get your impression. Um, I was convinced. I was reading somebody for a while, and I was like I was remembering like this person who was dead. I was convinced
Okay.
this was related to me. I was having
Okay.
memories, but then I started researching, and uh, they had died 4 months after I was born. So the linear aspect didn't make sense. So I sort of let that go. Is there, talk about the linear aspects. Can you have past lives from people that may have been alive while you were alive?
I've come across that also. I mean, I've regressed a lot of people over all these years, and I when I wrote my first book, um, I actually made an Excel spreadsheet to try to make sure I was like, how is this even happening? But I have come across people who have had consecutive lifetimes, who have had overlapping lifetimes. And the way it was explained to me, Brian, is that if you think about you are so much more than this human body.
Hmm.
Even the spiritual aspect piece of you that's embodying this physicalness that you're in right now is huge. It's multi-dimensional through multi layers. I guess that's a word, multi-layers of dimensions. And so if it's immense, and this is one small little piece or aspect that we're giving our consciousness to embody this physicalness that we have here that we're all co-creating on this
Hmm.
earth. And so the way that because I asked my spirit guides how to understand what was going on, and the way they explained it to me was like, think about it like this: if this little aspect of you is busy up in heaven, the heaven space, or in an alternate dimension, maybe visiting with the angels or whatever, then this aspect of you is here at this now as you as Brian, for example, or it might be you as Joe in another past lifetime where you've kind of overlapped in some kind of way. But ultimately, if we're all having all of these lifetimes all at once, no different than like an analogy that was shown to me one time as a disco ball, and your focus and your attention is on one little piece of glass or mirror where
Hmm.
all of it is you happening at the same time. So if you have a past life that's overlapping your current lifetime, you're still learning some type of lesson and you're just finishing one up, and then you have this one happening. I've had people where some of their past life or even kind of like a multiverse alternative lifelines or timelines are happening at the same time, leak through into their current life and are affecting them still at this moment.
Wow.
So it's very much hurts your brain when you think about how intense and how immense we all are as a spiritual being able to comprehend and manage all these iterations of us at once.
Have you had impressions of lives on other planets or talked with people that have had lives on other planets or
I
different
have,
dimensions? Yeah.
absolutely, for
Tell me
sure.
about that.
Which one?
I mean, the first one that comes to mind, that we
Oh
find,
gosh.
yeah.
So the like when I first started working with people 20 years ago, feels like not that long. And the one of the ladies that came to me, she was worried. Her intent was she was worried about her family all the time. She was worried something was going to happen to them. And so I took her into a past life, and she went right to a reality where her skin had like a purpley gray tone and her family was there, and she was looking out a window, and knew she was not on this earth. She knew she wasn't in a human body, but she saw this gigantic flash of a white light, and then that was it. That was the end of that was the end of her life and her family's. So it explained everything to do with her current experience today, with her worry and concern about her and her family. Something's going to happen to them because she died in that past life. It didn't matter where she went. She still received a healing, right? But she
Hmm.
died in that past life before she was able to resolve and come to terms with it. Now, I just regressed somebody the other day, and oh gosh, I'd have to pull her notes out to like remember everything that she had
Hmm.
happen. But she was on all kinds of different places throughout our entire solar system, just having experience after experience. And it was interesting because she didn't have one here on this earth. And that's what came up for her, but that was what was going to be healing for her. So I guess my point is, it doesn't matter where you go when you're remembering a past lifetime. I have definitely had tons of outside of this earth experience, um, interactions with others and all of that. It's just all about the healing and receiving the messages, Brian.
Yeah. Have you
I
ever
mean,
learned anything
truly.
about our past from other people's or your past lives that is discordant with history, like some interesting aspect of history that came about through these memories of past lives?
You mean like Atlantis and Lemuria and things like
Right,
that?
sure. Yeah, anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have personal recollection of three different past lives in Atlantis. I did include one of them in my first book, the Life is Just Another Class book. I've actually regressed a lot of people that go and to that Atlantean time. I've had people go to Lemuria, and I had someone have a knowing that they were on Mu before. And that's just incarnations here on this planet. I'd have I'd have to like really rack my brain because I don't keep notes for people whenever they come to me for a
Right.
session. You know, it's not mine, it's not for
Yeah.
me, it's for them.
Hmm.
But I have someone that came to me one time and they actually remembered having been here such a long time ago. It was before all of that. And they talked extensively about how Earth was an experiment and that this was like the sixth version of Earth. And I was like,
Wow.
okay, holy smokes, that's some heavy stuff. And so that's something that's really not in our history, you know, and how do you work with that? You know, it's just it was very interesting. I mean, I could just go on and on about that kind of stuff, Brian. It's fascinating.
It's very fascinating for me. And as we start to learn more about past lives, perhaps there'll be a science where we can reconstruct history from the different recollections that people have. And like you said, it could be they're actually having a parallel reality memory. I mean,
Right.
sometimes you just can't quantify exactly what's happening, but all of it is super fascinating. I'd love to
Really.
know. You mentioned that people's birthmarks have been healed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mine
birthmark.
has.
Oh yeah,
I,
tell me about
I
that.
I don't know of other people that have had that happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
I have some horrible pictures of me from whenever I was in high school that I have a very dark birthmark here. And
Hmm.
then when I remembered a past life in the 1920s here in the United States in New York,
Hmm.
um, in Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. And I went to a speakeasy because it was the prohibition where going out to like drink alcohol was illegal at the time. And I coerced one of my friends, cousins took me or something like that. I got the
Hmm.
outfit and everything all excited. Never got the beverage, by the way. But these mobsters came and shot the whole room up of people. And I had gotten hit right here with a bullet, right where my
Oh
birthmark
wow.
was. And so through forgiveness of the bullet, the metal, the gun, the people, the me, the everything that happened at that experience, a couple months later, I'm hanging out with my girlfriend. I'm like, I think I need more sun, man. My birthmark's fading away. Now, mind you, I'm 40 and I've had
Hmm.
this my whole life, you
Right.
know? And so it's like, why would all of a sudden it go away? So the next time same friend took me into, she's still a nurse, took me
Hmm.
into a past life session. I asked my guides and angels, what the heck? Why did the birthmark go away? They're like, oh, well, you healed it. And I said, well, I thought we all received a healing when we go on the other side and go in the heaven space. And the angel said to me, well, we left it there so it's something to talk about in this lifetime. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, all, yeah, that's just the way it is. It was so weird, but interesting. And I appreciate that they gave me that information,
Hmm.
but it's complete, you can't even see it. It's gone. I
Yeah,
mean, it
it's
was pretty
amazing.
dark. So
You healed chronic asthma through past life
I
regression. Can you
did.
walk us through how a physical ailment in this life can be connected to a past life trauma?
Okay, so back to the subject and the understanding that we're all energy,
Hmm.
okay? And if you understand that we're all energy, and we've had all these lifetimes, okay? So we're like the sum total of all these experiences, plus trauma patterns and all the garbage we go through in this current life.
Hmm.
Then sometimes, like let's say, for example, and I'll use the asthma example because that's the one you asked about. In this current lifetime, I've been through some relationship stuff. And
Hmm.
so, you know, when you start feeling unwanted and unloved, that's affecting your heart chakra, which is directly connected to how you breathe, right? You're breathing, oxygen goes through your heart, gets pumped through
Hmm.
and connected to your lungs and all that kind of stuff. but your heart chakra has to do with feeling cared about, loved, wanted, and that deep kind of sense. And so in this current lifetime, I was really feeling not wanted. And that very first lifetime that I remembered with being the guy dying of the pneumonia, he actually was in that particular lifetime. He also felt unwanted after working his whole life for someone, was kicked out of a Mesopotamian city, and then was on his own, doing his own thing, and died breathing, believing he again was unwanted. And so
Hmm.
in this current lifetime, it took me 5 years to really remember all of this and get it, because
Hmm.
you have to get to the point where you get it on a soul level to get some kind of deeper healing, right?
Right.
And so, literally 5 years later, I'm in the hospital, not being able to breathe. And they actually thought I was going to die, like seriously. And I was like taking all this medication, trying to breathe, whatnot, doing
Hmm.
all these therapies, and nothing was helping. And was sleeping a lot because I was having a hard time just even communicating, talking. It's, no doubt connected to throat chakra, that type of thing too. But I remember the connection between that past lifetime where I was unwanted and this current lifetime where I was unwanted. And then literally 3 days later, I was out of the hospital. And a few months later, I was breathing just fine, like nothing happened.
Wow.
And I was like, I think I can stop taking some of these medications. And I worked with my doctor. I didn't just do it. And that was like August, September. And by January, I had stopped taking all my medication. And that was in 2011. So I haven't taken anything since for my asthma. I don't think I have it anymore, obviously, because I haven't had to worry about that. But I mean, it's definitely interesting how all of that happened all at once because I saw the direct connection and I did the healing and the forgiveness work on both counts.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah.
So you describe experiencing death and going into the light during regression. What is
Oh
that?
yeah, I
What does that
love
feel
taking
like?
people there. That's my favorite part of a past life regression.
Yeah.
When I was working on my first book, the lady that was helping me as a literary agent suggested you need to lighten it up a little bit. And I said to my friend who's helping me, I'm like, well, we saw the light in that one past lifetime. Maybe I can go back in and go into and go through the light for each of these past lifetimes. And
Mm,
so we did. And it was fascinating because it was the same experience pretty much each time because
mhm,
I would always see this beautiful, huge, intense light that you're drawn towards that
mhm,
would happen on the right side. And then once you kind of walked, it seems like maybe 10 paces, then you're in the greeting room. And the greeting room is filled with folks from that past lifetime,
mhm,
angels, spirit guides, sometimes people from this current lifetime, FYI, animals, pets, and one time trees, which I was connected
wow.
to in that past lifetime. It was really beautiful. And one time I passed in a past lifetime and I walked in and it was this fancy Parisian soiree or whatever. Everybody's dressed up speaking French, and I'm talking to my spirit guide, and I said, they're all speaking French and I can hear all that. He's like, well, how is that any different? You just passed. You were speaking French in that past lifetime.
Mm,
I mean, hello. He was
wow.
like, duh, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so once you walk into the greeting room, then the most important people from that past lifetime are in front, ready to greet you. And then it became my understanding after doing this multiple times that you have to greet everybody in that greeting room before you can move on to the next thing, which
Ah.
is going into the healing space with, I call them the healing ones. They're these huge, they're so big. They're tall
Oh,
angels. They're like towering over you. And they're just it's amazing. It's amazing, Brian, honestly.
yeah.
And they are pouring pure unconditional love energy down through you to help you heal. These are the angels I asked, well, why did you leave that birthmark there? You know what I mean? And how did
Right.
that go away? And then once you do all that, they showed me next there was a long, it's almost like it's a luminescent hallway that has a light at the end. And according to one of my spirit guides, once you walk through and go through that light, that's it. You're in the heaven space. And
Oh.
then the only way you come back is when someone thinks about you telepathically and you can come and visit at any time here on this earth plane, or you can be part of that greeting room experience. So like if we become friends, Brian, you pass, I'm there in the greeting room with you, and
Ah,
hey, Brian, how's it going? You know what I mean? How was class here on this earth? That type of thing. And so
right.
it's just how they showed it to me. And then they showed me some things on the other side in the heaven space where you go pick your lifetime out, the hollow records where your Akashic records and soul records are,
Hmm.
and tons of other stuff over time.
Wow. So you've mentioned spirit guides and angels,
Yeah.
passed over loved ones. Is there like a hierarchy or structure to your team? Can you talk a little more on that?
Yeah. I mean, when I tune in for like I do type I get excited when I get to talk and I start stumbling.
No, it's all good.
I know. Um, but whenever I tune in for somebody when I give a psychic intuitive reading, I usually start by getting a number for how many people are on their team, a number for how many spirit guides they have at this moment, and a
Hmm.
number for how many angels they have. And the team of their spirit guides includes folks that are from all of your lifetimes because I'm generally tuning into your whole soul experience from the time you incarnated as a spiritual being through all your past lifetimes into now. Um, Once in a blue moon, they'll show me something in the future in a lifetime, a future lifetime, but it's not very often. But it is, um, it's a lot. And when you say tears, that I see it, I am very visual whenever I'm
Hmm.
shown things, okay? So like for me, past over people are very different from spirit guides because they know you best in this current lifetime, right?
Right.
Whereas your spirit guides, especially your council member spirit guides who help pick your lifetime out,
Hmm.
they are very knowledgeable about all your lifetimes because they've been with you all these times. And so if the way that I see it visually is that Passover people are kind of like hovering here,
Hmm.
spirit guides are here, and then council member spirit guides are here, angels are up here, and then God's source is like straight up. I mean, that's
Okay.
the vibrational aspect because I feel like it's in line with what dimensional vibration we're on. So,
Fascinating.
yeah.
Yeah. So your book, Making True Love, identifies 11 typical relationship patterns with past life
Correct.
roots. What
Hmm.
are some of the most common patterns you can share with us, and how do people carry them unknowingly from lifetime to lifetime? How does it express in this reality?
Oh gosh, let me see which one's going to be the most helpful for our listeners. Well, I talked about the need to feel wanted, so I included that one because that was part of my own personal healing.
Hmm.
The perfectionist type A, that normally tends to be like a burden type situation.
Hmm.
Um, some of the other ones are not quite as obvious. So, like if you are, for example, stuck in the pattern of abuse in this current lifetime and are frustrated, why am I always in these abusive situations over and over and over again? And then you go back into a past lifetime, you might recognize that you've had other lifetimes where they were also abusive. But when I'm working with somebody, you go back to that original time where you first were having the issue. And then that was something that probably was unresolved in that lifetime, where you could have made the decision to overcome it,
Hmm.
set boundaries, leave, make a different decision of some kind. And so then you come into a different lifetime learning how to, or trying to attempt to, I'm going to set some boundaries. I'm going to not have this experience. Even if I have come into a lifetime where my parents were not so fantastic to me, I'm going to do better, still love myself through all of it and
Hmm.
overcome that just the same. And so that is probably the hardest pattern in a sense to
Yeah.
overcome. And so it's not always obvious. Um, but then there's more like if you are in a relationship and you're always feeling drained or something like that, it might be because you had um, gone into you have had past lifetimes where you were in very physical abusive things or a slavery type of situation. And so in this current lifetime, you're still trying to give, trying to give, trying to give. It's almost like you're doing your duty or enslaved to a relationship in that kind of way. And so when you make these connections, you're
Hmm.
seeing the bigger picture on a soul level. So then you can be like, oh, I see the connection. And so then you're more aware of that pattern that comes forward in this current life. So then you can clear it and release it. Does
Uh,
that make
it
sense?
makes sense. So then how does soulmates and twin flames work from your perspective?
Oh, well, that's
What did
fun.
I think it's Archangel
Samuel.
Camuel, he revealed to you about this, right?
So I channeled him,
Yeah.
Archangel Chamuel, and because I was like, at the time when I was working on writing this book, trying to figure out what to do with relationships
Hmm.
personally,
Right.
and I started tuning in and practicing channeling, and Chamuel was the one that decided to work with me that day. And I said, and he started to explain that every person that you meet is a soulmate, okay?
Hmm.
It's just that level of connection or the percentage of connection that you make with that person that makes them a better, um, I guess it's a higher percentage of connection for that particular person. And so I said to Chamuel, so what about that date the other day that sucked really bad? He's like, well, that was a 17% connection. And I'm like, yeah, no kidding. Was that just like a learning lesson? Yes, but he said what people should strive to do is to really connect with somebody on such a deep, high level. It's more of like 80, 85%. So
Hmm.
like, not that you are the exact same person, but you've done the right kind of healing on even a soul level that you connect in that kind of way. And, life goals are the same, those types of things, and not just, I like to eat chocolate and so do you. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's much more than that. It's a deeper kind of way. Whereas twin flames is completely different
Hmm.
from his perspective. I had someone ask me this question, and I'm like, well, let me just channel Chanuel again. So I did, because he is actually an archangel that works with soulmates and those types of
Ah,
things. And so, twin flames, the way he explained it to me was that, or explained it to me and the person I was channeling to, is that if you think of soul level lessons in this current lifetime that you're trying to achieve and understand, sometimes you have somebody to come into your awareness that's such a strong presence that you're like, oh my gosh, you want to be with them, you don't understand why. Sometimes it's because they're going to wake you up, like metaphysically, in a wake up kind of way,
hmm.
or that person will trigger something in you to set a boundary, to like scream and express finally where you haven't done that previously, and to overcome some kind of major soul level accomplishment of some kind. And it's not, sometimes people get all worked up, I want to find my twin flame and all that kind of stuff, but sure, cool if you find one, but it's always to help you heal on a soul level. And maybe hopefully it's to learn that lesson of opening your heart to love, because that can also be a lesson that needs to be learned.
Right.
Yeah.
So for people that are listening that have never really gone through any sort of regression, how can they look at their lives and see what maybe some past life experiences are starting to come into their current life? What can they recognize? Take us through that. If something's happening in someone's life, how can they go, hey, maybe this is from a past life?
So, I mean, there are some signs that you've had a past lifetime. So, in your current life, without even going through a past life regression,
Hmm.
you could, first of all, the easiest thing to talk about, and a lot of people have had this experience. You meet somebody for the first time and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've known you forever. And it's been 5 minutes. Like,
Hmm.
why do you think that happened? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But I have to warn people that are listening though, it's not always for your benefit, because you might have unresolved karma from a past life that you need to work on in this current lifetime. And they're so familiar. They're helping you to communicate. They're, again, boundaries, all that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. But sometimes it is because you've had a very loving lifetime with them. But that small, strong bond with somebody is a clear sign. Sometimes you have deja vu. Maybe you have for example, always wanted to go to Greece. You don't know why? You just always wanted to go to Greece. And from the time you were a child, you go there and it's so familiar. You have some deja vu. You know where some cute little bakery is or some statue that's ancient. How would you know that? So
Hmm.
that strong historical connection, that physical place that you really want to go to, that's a common sign that that's something that's from your past lifetime. I mean, the birthmark thing is also a thing because like you might have like a birthmark, you don't know where it, and I have actually seen people with birthmarks right in the middle of their forehead.
Wow.
And every time I see that, I'm like, I think they were shot there, you know, like in a war
Hmm.
or whatever, because that's just obvious. I mean, to me, when I see it, I can tune right in to how they passed.
Hmm.
Um, so like birthmarks can be a sign. I can't say that they're 100% a sign, but most of the time it feels like they are. If you have any kind of I really love this and I really hate that, and you have no understanding why, or a fear of this or something like that, that has no explanation in this current lifetime, those are signs or clues that you've had a past life with that. I have honestly, I've had so many people that are like, wow, now I know why I always love this and this, and man, I just so much love that. And they've had a past life with that same experience, and they were just loving that lifetime so much.
I do have to admit that when I was in college, I did use that as a cheesy pickup line. Oh, I think
No,
I think we're totally you remind me of somebody. Maybe we have a connection in a past life.
Brian.
I'm sorry. I apologize to
You're
whoever
such a
that was.
guy.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
But you
it,
were in college. We'll give you a pass.
all right. But it's one of those things that I'm sure that people use it as a cheesy pickup line, but sometimes you do meet people
True.
and it does feel like, okay, something special is going on with this connection. I have that happening more and more, especially with live events. It's like people
Sure.
are coming up to me and it's like, okay, I have an instant in recognizing them, right?
Yeah. Like, why is that, right?
Yeah. It's a
It's
feeling of familiarity that you just don't get with other. I've also yeah, another question I had
yeah,
is it true that that groups reincarnate at the same time? Like when it's like everybody on the planet now may have been in Atlantis at one time. Like so when
sure.
you're watching TV, you remember Jimmy Fallon because he was back then, or you see that same actor and oh yeah, I remember him because he's
Right.
you start it's like we reincarnate in groups
We do,
over eras of time as a family almost
for
of
sure.
souls,
It's
right?
our soul group, right? So, like, even your own personal family, most of the time, that's part of your soul group. You've had many incarnations. Like, when I was remembering just the few past lives I included in my first book, Life is Just Another Class. I mean, I saw my kids, my parents, my sisters, different sisters. I mean, a bunch of sisters. But I mean, it's just like, it's you get a familiarity with them, and when you're on the other side, you're like, hey, I want to work on this and this, you want to come along again? Yeah, let's go. You know what I mean?
Right.
It feels like that kind of vibe because you're used to it. But you also, I'm sure, have had experiences where you walk in a room and you're like, ooh, these people, I don't know any of them. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Even though you might not know them, but then you can go into another room or a classroom and you're like, this is comfortable. It's still cool. I could meet some of these people. But I definitely personally have had experiences where I walk in a place and I'm like, I totally don't know these people.
Yeah.
It's like they're from a different branch on the tree of all the souls in a sense. You just really don't connect.
Now, I've encountered people that it almost seems like an unhealthy relationship forms over lifetimes where they continually play out lives because of something that happened in the past and they
Yeah,
keep reincarnating together and it feels like they need to find some healing so they can let each other go. It's like they've been through
true.
several lives and it's not healthy. Can you talk
Right.
about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon, unfortunately, because if you've had a detrimental situation where in this current lifetime you might be comfortable with them again or recognize that's why I gave that disclaimer. If you get to know somebody and you're like, wow, I feel like I've known you for years or lifetimes, it might be because of that exact example you just gave, because you have unresolved stuff where you were meant to figure out and resolve. It's like a continued, um, what's the word they always tell me? it's like a continuation of that past lifetime that you like pick up kind of where you left off emotionally and everything. And again, in this current lifetime, so you can figure it out and resolve it in some sense. I'll give you an example. I had a woman come to me. She's had a past life regression and a reading and stuff like that. She's asked about this guy that she just is like a push pull, not sure, didn't understand. She had a past life with him that was so intense, and this current lifetime was here. She met up with him again to resolve it. The past lifetime experience was she and him were married. A fire broke out in their house, and they both went out, one the back door, one the front door, each thinking each of them had the child, which was an infant child upstairs in
Oh,
the bedroom.
yeah.
And they both never resolved that. And so they kept coming together again in lifetime after lifetime. And in this current lifetime, now I haven't talked with her for several years, but in this current lifetime, they were together again, and he was adamant, no children, and it
Mhm.
was exactly him and the same experience emotionally and all that coming through again in this current lifetime so that they could figure out, because they had so much hatred, they hated each other, they were disgusted, they were blaming, all of that unresolved resentment and grief was coming up in this current lifetime. So when I helped her release some of that grief. Oh, and I should mention this. This is a cool side note.
Hmm.
If you are remembering a past life, let's say, for example, that specific one I took her to, when she does the healing in that past lifetime, because she knows this guy in this current lifetime, whether she actually knows him or not, he's also getting a healing because that is coming forward.
Ah,
I know. And
yeah.
so that's super cool side note. But it definitely helped her in this current lifetime understand that relationship and why those things are coming up for her again in this current life.
Well, it's interesting. And another pattern I see is you feel like you have a connection with somebody, and it turns out when you delve into it, it's not a good connection. Like you
Right?
murdered this person,
Yeah.
or they were their slave master, or
Yeah.
some terribly terrible thing had happened between both of you, and then you're in each other's family. They're your father or mother, or and maybe they raped you in another a lifetime. So how
Right.
often do you see that where people are coming back together to resolve stuff that happened
Well,
in
it's
other
almost
life?
like you're still working on forgiveness, right, Brian?
Hmm.
I mean, and it was if I mean any kind of abuse, is always difficult, and it's very difficult for even the person who's remembering that. But it is whether it's this lifetime or a past lifetime, whenever.
Hmm.
But sometimes it comes up again because in that past lifetime you might have passed
Hmm.
or had again unresolved forgiveness. It's like how to explain it? It's almost like, let's say for example, this pen is the unresolved grief or frustration or resentment that person put you through. You die in a past lifetime, and this is still hanging out in your energy. And so you come into another lifetime, you meet up with that person again, and that's coming up again,
Hmm.
so that you can then bring it to your attention. Okay, thank you for bringing that to my attention, and it's time to resolve it, right? And so that seems to be the main reason why that kind of stuff comes up, because it's it's almost like if you, for example, or even in a war situation, which comes up kind of often,
Hmm.
more often than I care to like, but it's so much trauma involved. These folks who are involved with that, whether they're in the military or civilians or whatever, that kind of information is coming forward to them, and they pass, but there's that anger at themselves, anger at whoever shot them, all that resentment and trauma is still lingering in their energy. And so then when you get into a past life regression now in this current lifetime, then you can, okay, I can see and understand why I did all that. I was doing my duty for my country. I was working with this group, whatever the case may be, and you get a different perspective of it. So then you can release that pent up frustration, resentment, whatever
Hmm.
happened. I mean, definitely comes up. Does that
There's
make sense, Brian?
absolutely, yeah. So there's certain spiritual perspectives that will claim that, this is samsara and that our inevitable goal is to escape from the wheel of reincarnation. And so that we're in this classroom, and then there's
Yeah.
a point where we can say, okay, I don't need to keep on doing that and reliving these experiences over and over. I feel like we're kind of in a time where people are coming to a point where they're getting ready to escape from that wheel. I'd love to get your experience with this as you've had different regressions with people going through it.
Sure. I mean, like a lot of people, well, no, I can't say a lot. I've had people come to me, not a, I can't say a lot. I've had people come to me, they're like, I want this to be my last lifetime. That's it. I'm done. I can't do this again. And I'm like, okay, good luck with that. But because honestly, first of all, everyone has free will choice to come here. It's still our free will choice to come into this experience, right? You're on the other side working with your council member, spirit guide, and they're like, are you sure? Is this really what you want to work on? Positive you want to come back and have another life? You sure? And then you do. And then you get down here and if somebody really, really, truly wants to be done and not come back again and to get off that karmic wheel, it's when you recognize, all right, I've been through all this crap in this lifetime. All this stuff has come up again and again and again. And okay, I'm going to delve, I'm going to hit this hard, I'm going to forgive all this, forgiving, not saying what whoever or whatever happened was okay. Forgiving in a sense of releasing that subconscious flow of energy to that experience or that person
Mhm.
because you're not giving it any more of your energy, right? And so, with that being said, then every little aspect, any trigger, any resentment, any understandings that you need to learn or understand, you release all of that. That's whenever you get to that higher enlightenment, you're waking up these chakras that are above your crown chakra
Mhm.
and understanding on a deeper level why you're here because you've resolved all of that. And that's whenever you can get off that karmic wheel. That's how it's been explained to me. Does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of perspectives that will claim that prior to this life, we set everything up so that we go through these certain experiences on purpose. So if we're
Sure.
suffering or we're and so we set this up so that we would go through this experience. I have that a lot. I encounter people and they're convinced no matter what I can do, I'm set on this path. Is
No,
that true? And can we change it? Can we change the plan that's already been given to us so that we can do something new?
change the plan. So, so how they've I have two things that they're telling me to. I'm actually talking to my spirit guides to answer
Oh,
this
nice.
question because, like, it's a good question. The two things that they're showing me, one is it's still our free will choice to choose to come down here
Hmm.
every time. So it's still our free will choice to react and embrace or overcome something. So they want to get that out there. They're also showing me choices are all about them. I mean, they're just showing me these choices, Brian,
Right.
because like even when I visited the Akashic records, you know what I mean by that?
Right. Yeah, of
That
course.
everybody here knows what that means. I mean, that's your soul record, every little thing that you've done and how everything else has affected everybody else in your experience. I mean, if you had made this big deal choice and went this direction, then that would have happened in your life. But, sometimes and I had this happen not that long ago for someone that came to me for a past life thing. They went and saw their Akashic records and they're like, wow, man, I should have made this other choice because it would have been a nicer experience.
Hmm.
And so it's still your free will. But they have shown me where some people have gone into the heaven space or working with their council member spirit guides. You have this big long list, and maybe you've have had an experience where it was fantastic, and you're like, man, can I do that again? That was all about love. And they're like, nah, your next lifetime you wanted to focus on faith because that's what this is. That's why you're having this experience.
Hmm.
So that's one aspect of it. The other thing that they're telling me to say is that, in the heaven space where we kind of reside in a real sense, um, where it's like the land of love, man. I mean, it's all telepathic communication, instant manifestation. You are out of pure unconditional love with everybody else. You can't really learn and understand and grow in any kind of way unless you have these, in a sense, yin yang or shown what you don't want, to help you overcome this thing or that thing, like jealousy, shame, and judgment, and all these kinds of things, to really understand more of what energetically we are capable of on a soul level, in a sense. Because, if you can go through an experience like a very bad altercation or something really inappropriate happening to you, you know, if you can learn how to see and come out of the other side of that, it's no
Hmm.
easy task. I mean, it could take someone many, many years to do.
Right.
And, but that is coming from a different, higher perspective. Oh, okay, I went through that, I went through that rape or whatever, because now I can talk to people about it, help them overcome it. But 30 years ago, when that happened, you would have not thought that, right? You're
Right.
too involved in that trauma. And so it's not easy to get to that perspective to understand. Um, but can you change? Let me ask them that question.
Well, here's an example. I get it a lot.
Yeah,
Is like,
tell me.
like, hey, they are pretty sure that they had chosen poverty as they came to the planet. They would
Oh
be in a
gosh.
poor family and they would suffer from poverty. And so I've learned the lessons. I don't need to learn these anymore. I want to release that poverty vow that I had given
Sure.
prior to my life. Is it possible to change that path, or do they have to continue to experience it because that's what they had chosen pre-incarnation?
Oh, I see. Okay. My guys are laughing. It's always your choice. It's always your choice. I mean, if you start recognizing you took a vow of poverty, um, you can change that. But sometimes people go into poverty. I've been shown this. I had a lady come to me one time. It was so interesting because she was talking about manifesting in abundance.
Hmm.
And she talked about being just not happy with life, just not happy. Okay. And she's middle class, regular, everyday person. And she went into a past lifetime where she was and like a royalty of some kind, rich, not happy. She went
Hmm.
into another lifetime, poor, super poor, living on the streets. Again, not happy. Her guys are like, when are you going to be happy? Like, what's it going to take? Abundance isn't going to give it to you. We can't take any of this with us. All we can take is our experience. But
Hmm.
it's her free will choice to choose to be happy, no matter if she's filled with poverty or filled with abundance. So her lesson was, no matter what lifetime she picks, she needs to find that inner happiness and inner joy of some kind in some way. So sometimes there is again, a different picture. If you're not happy, even with poverty, how are you going to be happy if you're rich?
Right.
Right? What are you going to do with that?
Right. So if it's a classroom, what happens when we graduate?
The way they show it to me is you like it's an ascension kind of vibe where so how do I show
Is
this
there a
to you?
whole new class that we take after this one?
How do I show this to you? So if you understand that we're a multidimensional being, and the
Hmm.
way that they showed it to me, and this is an Atlantean teaching actually, where we have chakras above our crown chakra that extend all the way up, connecting us to source. We have
Hmm.
chakras that extend down through all the dimensions and chakras below, grounding us in this earth to help us be connected. When you open up these higher dimensional chakras, you are consciously bringing that higher dimensional knowledge into this current experience on this earth, right? And so the way that they showed it to me is that when you can consciously become aware of and connect to all these dimensional aspects of you on a soul level, consciously at the same time, then you've achieved that goal, or you've reconnected with source in such a deep connective way that you're like, I don't want to say reabsorbed, but reconnected in that strong type of way.
Right. So we have some other people in our group that
Oh,
I'm sure
fantastic.
we would love to ask some questions about this.
Okay.
First, let's begin with Luis. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm interested in the aspects of when there's a healing at the level of a past life regression session or sequence of sessions that you may have with somebody. Do they perceive that as healing the past life, or the perspectives that they were holding about it that are brought into the present? And how does that all ripple through all that we are using now quantum concepts of
Sure.
that we understand about the transcension of time and
Yeah.
everything happening at
So
once.
so that's a great question, Luis. If you think about, let's use the example of your throat chakra, okay? And so let's pretend in this current lifetime, you wanted to work on expressing more in some type of way. And so you go back to a past lifetime where you were inhibited to express, or maybe you were killed for expressing. And so when you go back and remember that past lifetime, you're forgiving everything involved with me being able to express and being killed for it in a sense, or whatever is coming up for you. But because you're always connected, because you're the same spiritual being through all these past lifetimes, when you're healing here on your throat chakra for this current lifetime, you're healing your past lives as well, and ancestral DNA connections in this current lifetime. So all that connection is healed.
Wow, very
Yeah,
cool.
I have felt that about
Intense.
the ancestral
Oh, it's
healing.
all connected.
It's very interesting. The Hindus have a beautiful practice about that, but I felt that,
Thanks.
it's very, very strong. Thank you for that
Yeah,
answer.
you're welcome anytime.
Thomas, please.
Thomas Smith,
Thomas, you're
you're
muted.
on.
Hey,
Yeah.
it took me a second to get there. Yeah, hey,
Hi.
wow. Hi, Karen. Hi, Brian. Hi, Luis. Wow. This was so synchronistic. I actually was at a place and it was 3 o'clock and I had no idea about the call. And I opened my computer and the calendar was right there. And it started at 3. And I was just like, oh, okay. This
Perfect.
is what we're doing now. Yeah, it's been that kind of a day.
Good.
But yeah, so my question, I just want to start off by saying I'm resonating with so many of these scenarios that you guys are talking about. I just about a month ago I got out of a relationship finally that we've broken up over 30 times and it's been like the most bliss imaginable until something flips and then all of a sudden she's not my friend anymore, she's my enemy. And it's baffled me so much and it's really strange because I've had the last three karmic relationships that I've been in, I've had them end by me doing something that was not acceptable.
Okay.
And this time it was, like you said earlier, with the sometimes you feel like you have to yell like in this
Yeah.
life to get it out finally. And I had done that like a lot, and like not a lot, but just every time this would flip, and it would take I could take it for a few hours, but then after that I would just start yelling and cursing, and like there was this thing that came out of me that was just like, no more. This is
Yeah. Setting
messed up.
boundaries.
Why are you yeah, why are you doing
Yeah.
this to me? But it would come out like that. So this last time, it didn't come out like that because I promised myself I would never do that again. This time it came out, I should kill myself.
Oh dear.
It like the needle went from, that I can't take this, so
Right.
I'm gonna lash out on that person to like I can't take this, so I'm gonna lash out on me. And when I like contemplated doing that, the only thing I could think of right away was I love myself and
Oh,
everyone in my life way too much to take my
sure.
life for this person who I'm in this really
It's not worth
interesting
it.
cycle with, right? But the
Yeah.
point is that that I have done something very drastic to get out of the last three relationships when I realized I felt so trapped in a cycle. And I'm curious if that's like a norm, like something you've seen before, because it's been like a drastic like
Well, so
switch off.
did you end the relationship that you're currently in that caused you to feel that way? I guess is my first question.
She ended it and has
Okay.
not talked to me in a month. She's
Okay,
just
good.
gone.
Done.
She's just
Okay.
gone.
So,
Yeah.
but notice that you needed to set boundaries, right? And what it feels like your guides are telling me is that, look, you're being mirrored, right? Because we're all one. I'm you, you're me. If I'm healing, you're healing. If Brian's healing, you're healing. If anyone else here is healing, we're all getting the healing. Okay. So you chose to take care and love you and not commit suicide. Thank you, because then you just repeat this again FYI.
Yeah, I didn't want to.
And
No, don't
so,
want to go
I
there.
mean, you just come back and do it again. So it's like cutting class early, right? So they're telling me for you, Brian, it's about you setting boundaries. And that's what you're trying to achieve and learn in this current life with these relationships. But they're also saying to me, it's about setting boundaries with yourself too. You know, you loving yourself is a big deal because someone else can only love you as much as you love yourself. And that isn't just taking a bubble bath and, doing something special for yourself, getting a new tattoo or whatever. It's really more of I care and cherish myself so much so that I'm only going to allow mutually supportive and loving people in my life, and that's it. I mean, because that's
Yeah.
what I deserve and that's what I expect to give and back in return. And when you're arguing and yelling and stuff like that, often people aren't even thinking straight. You're using a different part of your brain. You're coming from a reaction defensive kind of way, and you can't have a
Hmm.
coherent, calm, relaxed conversation about what's really going on. You know,
Hmm.
it's a lot. It's a lot. Thomas, I wish you good luck with all that and I hope that your next relationship should be with yourself first, right?
Yeah,
And
that's where I'm at right now. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm
Oh,
really
it's so
giving that
good.
time
Yeah.
and really focusing on like it's almost like you're dating yourself in a sense and
Hmm.
enjoying yourself and taking care of yourself, eating right, doing all the extra cool stuff that takes care of your physical body too. But then when you go find somebody because you've gone within and you've done that inner work, you're going to find someone that mirrors you in that kind of way. Whereas you're otherwise, if you don't, if you go find somebody 2 weeks from now, you're going to be mirroring, I still need to do work. And then that person's going to be in your face and all the trauma and all the stuff again, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I've been doing all that. And I go to the gym
Good.
every single day and spend a lot
See?
of hours at the gym in the morning.
Awesome.
And I have a friend who right before we broke up, and this person came into my gym life, and now she works. She's a psychic and she works at a crystal shop. And I
Nice.
was there today, and I brought her a juice, and we just light each other up. And we're really
See?
good friends now, and it's we both have the same sun and moon sign, so we like
Okay.
totally get each other, but we're friends.
Nice.
And I just really love myself so much, and I'm realizing that when I get to connect with these reflections like this, it's showing me that I have already set that boundary,
Right.
because I decided when that person left my life, like, I don't even have friends like this anymore. I
Yeah.
don't even allow people like this in my life. The only
Yeah.
reason why she got is because she was so loving until she wasn't. And
Yeah.
so I that was like the
Abuse.
last little thing I had to cut out,
Yeah.
where I'm only now accepting what really feels right, and what
Good.
really feels right only wants to come into my field, because there's such a difference in vibration
For sure.
with people who aren't energetically correct, because I've been working on myself so much that now I can see that I kind of repel people who aren't energetically
Right?
correct, and I
Yeah, because
attract
it's like a
people
tuning
who
fork that
are.
doesn't even match,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. It's a
Yep.
vibration. Your vibe attracts your tribe. So yeah, I
Correct.
just want to say that. I have
Thank you,
one more
Thomas.
really quick question
Yeah.
too, because it's also relevant to soul connections.
Sure.
I've had 4 sets of, I say sets because it's been 2 different women,
Okay.
with each set of faces in my life that I've been with. I've been with 4 sets of women that had the same face, like almost the same exact face.
So
And
were you trying to
sometimes
learn
they
the same
even,
thing with them?
I don't know, and sometimes they even had the same astrological sign and they acted the same. So maybe,
Yeah, I think you're still trying to learn that lesson, right? I mean,
yeah,
Yeah. Once you lose one, another one's going to keep coming
it
back.
doesn't
It's just
matter
that,
even where you
yeah,
move. You could be across the
yeah,
world and that same type of person is going to come in your awareness until you learn to set the
change
boundaries.
your vibe
The
and you'll
lesson.
find somebody different.
Correct.
Yeah.
yeah. And so with this girl that I just told you about that I saw at
Mhm.
the crystal shop today, she calls herself a spiritual oracle. There's a girl in Hawaii who looks almost exactly like her, who is a spiritual oracle, who I've had a connection with, astrally and also just on Facebook and stuff. And now she's in my life, and she and I are just like completely on the same page.
So
And
learning how
it's
to be friends
really,
with them is going to be helpful to you, Thomas. And
Yeah, we are. We're just being really good
yeah,
friends. It
because
was
then you're
great.
practicing feeling that mutually support and love without any of the extra romantic stuff involved, right? So that
Yeah,
you can
I'm
learn how
keeping
to
it,
have that.
mhm, keeping
Thank
that
you.
on the other side of the line. And if she
Yes.
wants to go on the other side of the line, then watch out because it's there. But
Your guides are saying, take your time.
Take your time.
yeah,
Time.
Thanks,
thank you
Thomas.
guys so much. I appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Thomas.
Anne Marie.
Hi there, Karen, and
Hi,
thank you,
Emery.
Brian. Hi, how are you, Karen?
Good, honey. How are you?
Great. So the first thing, there's two parts, but the first question is, how does it feel to have access to 200 lives? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just well, no, my guides are telling me you do too. No, it's almost like you can see and understand your entire whole soul experience, no different than how you see and understand your whole soul experience in this current lifetime. So, like when you were first brought here, they're using the words brought here, or decided to make the decision, you're coming here on this earth plane, for example, then you created some kind of karma and you're working through it, overcome it, working through something else, overcoming it. And then now you're here in this lifetime. And so when I'm able to look and review all these lifetimes, I got the aha moment. Oh, that's why I'm still here, because I'm still working on this, this, and this. And I kind of did that and that, but it started in that first lifetime I have here.
wow.
Yeah.
So the next piece is when you said you had so much determination, so much determination, so much determination to access it after 30 times. Sometimes I feel like that like he was just speaking about previously about the relationship, like it's so intense the experience.
Yeah.
How do we pull ourselves out of an experience that you know you don't want to repeat anymore, but it's so intense that it's all consuming? So similar like with a family member or a repetitive pattern. And it's just it's almost like you know better on the mind level, but it's like the things just keep happening around it. You're like, yeah, I want out of it. So it's just like, what do you suggest?
Are you talking about a relationship now, Anne?
No, not a relationship. A family
Family?
pattern. Yeah, family pattern with a sister. But it's almost like what happens that you know on a mental level you want to release it. How do you get to that point where you've had enough and so you can live with your life to the best version of you?
So what if you instead looked at that relationship at just the way it is, and that if you're talking about your sister, right?
Yes.
And you see your sister in her space as she is right in this now. And when um you're still living your higher vibration experience for you and yourself, setting the boundaries and not allowing her energy to affect you, undermine you, or whatever. And just, it's almost like you're like, I see and respect you in the space that you're in, and hope and pray that she learns how to love herself more, to understand that that's not a good idea to, it feels like she's not very nice to you, Anne Marie. And so, like, coming from that space of maybe there's another reason why she feels that way. Maybe she didn't feel loved or wanted or whatever, that kind of vibe. And you see her for just how that is, then it's a different experience whenever you understand that. It's no different than if you have somebody that is in your awareness, family member, whoever, that you are they're very angry and very aggressive and they want everything in a very OCD kind of way. Well, you have to have that love and respect. Okay, the reason that they're like that maybe is because of how they were raised, how they had a trauma, or their heart got closed because of this, that, or the other reason. There's some unresolved something that needs to be resolved. And when you start to see it from that perspective, you get more compassion for that person.
Mm.
And when you start to feel the compassion for that person versus you got the fists up ready to fight, you know what I mean? Because you're waiting for someone to like energetically punch you in a sense. I don't know if that's how it is with your sister or not, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Then you put that guard down, you're coming from a place of compassion, that reaction from them might change because then their shields aren't up too, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and so just a question about past lives
Sure.
then are these patterns from the repetitive, like is like you said, we can change anything,
Sure.
but when it's in such an intense experience, such as with him with a relationship or me with this family member,
Yeah.
is it because we've come to experience that on the deepest level so that we can, because you on one level you know that there's a better way, you absolutely 1,000,000,000,000% know that a
Yeah.
loving kindness compassion, like on the head level, like, you know,
Right.
we're in this group, right? We know we
Right.
can create a reality. Then what is it that keeps pulling us, even though you know the tools, that pulls us to that? Is it till you finally break free from a past life?
Well, it's really breaking free from that pattern. It's no different than the gentleman we just talked to, or I just talked to. I mean, he's got a pattern of these different kinds of not great relationships. If you have a pattern of, you know, again, it just feels like um it almost feels like, backing down, not, you know, kind of being, do you like get shy around your sister or something like that?
I'm not my powerful self.
Yeah, yeah, you feel like you're like recluse or shielding yourself from the abusive words or whatever's coming from her energy. I mean, and so yes, it can be a past life pattern where maybe in another lifetime you were unable to resolve that, but in this lifetime you can set those boundaries with her or learn how to react in a different way or learn how to be your true, authentic, powerful self and not feel like you have to be put in your place in your family in a sense, right? Or do your duty just because she's your family or sister. I mean, sometimes sometimes there are people in our lives that are part of our family that you feel like you have a duty to, that you have to love and respect no matter what, but sometimes they're not to our best interest. And so coming to that understanding is easier said than done sometimes, but coming to the understanding that if you can see her in the compassion perspective, because if she's a reflection of yourself, using that same example as I did before, she might see then you in the same compassionate type of way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope that
Thank
helps in
you,
some kind of way, Anne-Marie.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much
Yeah,
for
I
that.
appreciate you.
Ann.
Vin, please.
Hey,
Hi,
Vin.
Ben.
Hi, Karen. Hi, everyone. I'm extremely uncomfortable asking this question, and so please forgive me. I don't have my video on as well. A little connected to what Thomas and Anne-Marie shared as well. My question is around a family member. So I have a very difficult relationship with my mother. It's like a love-hate relationship. The more I do inner work, the more I feel disconnected with her.
Aw,
It has reached a point that I just cannot stand her anymore. And she's a nice person. She's a very, it's nothing about her. It's just that we are just so different
yeah.
that I suffer in this relationship. I absolutely suffer. And I
It's
have so
very
much
draining,
guilt.
huh?
It is very draining.
Yeah.
And I feel so much guilt. I have worked on this guilt for more than a decade and it doesn't go away. And I mean it has reduced, but then
Yeah.
I kind of my father passed away quite recently, so she's
Oh,
become even
sorry.
worse. So she was very codependent. She needs someone who's constantly, she needs to talk to someone all the time, every day. I hate that. I'm the total opposite.
Yeah, you
I
see
need
how
to
she's
connect.
draining you, right?
Yes. So I don't know what to do with this because on the one hand, she needs support, and unfortunately, I am not that person to provide the
Yeah.
support.
Yeah.
And I am
It's
the daughter. And
it's it's hard, right? I mean, when somebody's that codependent or needy, and it's almost like you're the battery, and she has no understanding on how to raise her own vital life force energy. Like there's
not at all.
no understanding, like you're being plugged into by her and zapped of all your energy. I mean,
But it's
so
not just me. I think when she interacts with anyone, she tends to go into this, oh my God, I am alone, I have nobody, she goes into all
What was
these
me?
dark spaces.
Yeah,
So it's not just me, but because I'm connected to her
sure.
as direct family, I feel things very strongly, more than
Yeah,
others too in my family. So I have a brother, and thankfully he doesn't react like me. Um, so I'm good with that. So we don't all need to suffer.
good. Well, so, but some things that you can do to help your mom in a sense where without giving her all your energy, you can, well, there's a couple different things. The first thing they're telling me to do is to suggest to her, maybe she gets some therapy, honestly, Finn, or maybe you can get her excited about going and doing something for herself, like joining a club or something, I don't know what, and
Okay.
something that would give her another group of people to hang out with, or something that will help her learn how to raise her own vital energy. So like
Mm,
if you think of yourself as a glass of water, if your
mhm,
vital life force energy is drained all the way down here because you've given it away or you don't know how to raise it, you
mm,
know, positive affirmations, doing something creative, being out in nature, that kind of stuff raises your vital life force energy. And if you can like suggest to her, hey, I found this really cool group I know you're going to be excited about, and she goes and does that, and that in and of itself raises her vital energy, puts her around other people, right? So then
yeah.
that's helping her overcome that. So the other thing that you can do, that's one aspect of it, because
Mhm,
sometimes people just never have learned how to raise their own vital life force energy. And then they want to plug in to all these other people to get the energy
yeah.
from
Yeah.
these batteries that we are, right? In a sense. And the other thing that they're telling me is that when you are around her, sometimes people suggest that you like put up shields and do all this other stuff. I think that's extra, but you can instead. I mean, I work with the angels all the time, Vin, and they are just here to help. Angels and spirit guides cannot interfere in our life unless you ask, okay? And so
Okay.
if you say, and I personally have this as a standing ask because I work with a lot of people and I want to maintain my vital energy, angels on my behalf with anyone that's in my awareness, whether I'm working with them or in a store or wherever. Can you provide them energy if they need it on my behalf, especially if they're feeling needy or depressed or whatever the case may be? Because
Mhm,
then I can maintain my own personal life force energy and they're receiving help. And the angels are experts in that. So if the
okay.
next time your mom calls, take a deep breath and be like,
Mm,
angels, can you please provide my mom with any life force, vital life force energy, healing energy of any kind, so that
okay.
I can maintain my own personal energy and she gets the help that she needs and is looking for when she makes that phone call. Does that make
That's
sense to
beautiful.
you?
That's beautiful. And I have
Yeah.
to tell you though, that she's the only person in my life who drains me. I don't have anyone else who's
Good.
codependent, or I'm
Yeah,
extremely free.
you've learned how to not repeat that pattern, right?
Yeah, I don't, not
Good
my
for you.
friends, not my family, no one. She's the only one.
Yeah, but so it's hard because you're doing your duty as a child to a parent and you don't want to totally dismiss that connection to your mom in that kind of dutiful way. But that doesn't mean you have to give all your energy to her in a
Yeah.
real sense because that's not fair to you either. And you know, alternatively, I mean, we've been talking about past life regression here. I mean, I have personally done this for myself and I have got other people to find root causes for family members being
Yeah.
so draining or whatever the case may be. So if you can go back to that original time, that
Mhm.
root cause, if you think of it like you're pulling that root cause out and any other consecutive or compounded issues that could stem from that root cause of why you feel like you have to do your duty to your mom and give all your energy to her. I mean, that can
Yeah.
help as well.
I just have a last point I want to ask you.
Sure. Yeah.
In my when I'm really triggered, and these days I get triggered a lot because it's too in the open, and I don't have too many distractions and powerful distractions in my life at the moment. So when I'm triggered, the deepest from my deepest, the pit of my whatever, from my core, I get this frustrated shouting that says, I just want freedom from this relationship. Just free us both. I can't stand, I can't take it anymore. And it keeps coming into my head. It's like a repetitive statement. It says, I
So,
just can't take it anymore. I can't take
so
it anymore.
I mean, that is a whole thing. I mean, I actually have a guided meditation on my YouTube channel that's about cutting cords, but
Mhm.
it's cutting cords in a way. Thank you for bringing this to my awareness, whether it's a trauma, a trigger, a person, forgiving. It's like the Ho'oponopono, which I don't know if I say that right, kind of forgiveness
Yeah.
technique. Thank you for bringing it to my awareness. Sending love to yourself at that moment, the moment you were born, the moment that she caused each and every one of those triggers, right? And then forgiving her, not saying what she said or did was okay, but just to release that subconscious flow of energy to her. And when you cut the cords, it's like you're squeegeeing off all past trauma and triggers connected to her, and then starting fresh from this moment forward. I only allow a mutually supportive and loving connection or relationship or experience with you. That's it. That's all you can tolerate. So you're setting energetic boundaries with her in that kind of sense. Because what you don't want to have happen, Vin, is a future lifetime and she's still in it because you haven't resolved it, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That would suck.
Thank
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
I started saying that too, like I just want to be free of this person in all lifetimes. And in my moment of anger and frustration, I've thought that too.
So,
So
so keep in mind, every time she's triggering you, you're pushing and sucking in more anger, frustration, resentment,
Mhm.
right? And you don't want to store all that in your energy either. You know, it's
interestingly, the
like
thing that triggers me is her lack of enthusiasm for life. That's the thing that triggers me.
you can't change her.
Yeah. Don't let her affect you in any way. Release
Yeah.
the resentment more importantly than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate your listening, and I'm really
Yeah.
grateful. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Anytime.
Thank you so much. I think we don't have any more questions. I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on, Karen. Everybody can go to KarenKubicko.com. It's KarenKubicko.com, and you have a free course on
I do.
so if people want to start accessing their past
Absolutely.
lives, this is a really amazing place to start. And
Thank
so
you.
thank you for sharing your time and knowledge. And so, if anybody, it's interesting that the questions we got from the group came down to familial and relationship issues
Yeah.
that weren't entirely about past lives, but still, it feels
Okay.
like that those are fundamentally connected.
For sure. I mean, because if you start thinking about yourself as a whole soul, Brian,
Hmm.
you start to see all this stuff interact and intertwine in such a big, deeper way. And I'm so grateful you had me on here today. It was
Oh,
such a
thank you so
treat.
much. We've
Honestly
learned so
honored.
much. We'll hope to talk to you again
Hey,
soon. And
anytime.
everybody,
I'd love to.
KarenKubicko.com. And as always, welcome to the Reality Revolution.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Two lives, both real, right now. You've been told you have to earn the good life, work harder, wait longer, deserve it someday. But what if that's the lie that keeps you locked in the wrong reality? What if both versions already exist, and the only question is which frequency you're tuned to? There's a moment. Some call it awakening. Some call it quantum jumping. Some call it remembering who you really are. Where the static clears. Where you stop visiting the better life and start living there. It doesn't happen through more information. It happens through direct experience. Through being in a room where the frequency is so elevated that the old version of you can't survive. February 27th through March 1st, Newark, the first Reality Revolution event on the East Coast. 3 days designed for one purpose: to permanently shift you into the reality that's been waiting for you. pineal gland activation, higher self connection, timeline jumping that actually sticks and is real, abundance consciousness that becomes your default. This is a transmission I have, and every one of these events is different. And each time we do it, it gets better and better, and this will be completely new and different from what I've ever done before. Here's what they don't tell you about transformation. There are windows, moments where everything aligns to make the shift easier. And then those windows close. You've been watching. You've been learning. You've been preparing. The preparation is over. The door is open. Your future self already attended. They're waiting for you to catch up. We got bonus material, meditations, activations, a PDF copy of my most recent book, Activate Your Unlimited Power. February 27th through March 1st. I hope to see you there.
We return you now to your local announcers.